What a beautiful life.
All that I've got is all that I need. I got you, baby, you got me. What more could I ask for? Beautiful life. Beautiful life. I got what a beautiful life. Beautiful life. Listen, I woke up this morning, y'all. The sun was shining oh so brightly. I thought about how good this life is. Back in the day, it wasn't always like this. I think about the things we done been through. I think about the place that I come from. It wasn't always easy, so every day I'm thanking God for the beautiful people everywhere I go. I just need to see your smiling faces at my show. And when you're feeling real love from the family, every day is a gift, y'all, that's all I need.
What a beautiful life.
All that I've got is all that I need. I've got you, baby, you got me. What more could I ask for? Beautiful life. Beautiful life. I got a beautiful life. Beautiful life. Happiness, you know, it feels real good, y'all. For us to get it, then we gotta work hard, y'all. Every day. And don't pay attention to the things they say when they tell you that you can't make it, but you can if you try, y'all. When life is rough, I know sometimes you wanna cry, y'all. Just keep the faith and don't question. Ain't no need of stressing. Your life is still a blessing.
About the cars, the money, or the clothes.
You can believe these things will only come and go, but when you're getting real love from everyone you meet, it's a blessing, y'all. It's magic, y'all.
What a beautiful life.
All that I've got is all that I need. I got you, baby, you got me. What more?
Hey y'all, today it is March 18th. It is 54 degrees outside. Yesterday was in the high 60s, and I think Monday it hit 72 degrees, and Friday they're talking about snow. Now I'm trying to understand, Friday is the first day of spring, March 20th is supposed to be the first day of spring, and yet they're talking about we're going to have snow. Now, here's the issue I'm having with this whole snow thing, because they ain't been right yet. Meteorologists have not been right. They say that we're only going to get enough to cover the grassy areas. Let me tell you something. I'm talking to channel 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9. If I get more snow that has to be shoveled, one of y'all meteorologists going to come to my house and shovel some snow. I'm just going to put that out there right now. So take your pick. If it's more than just on the grassy areas, and I have to, even if I have to sweep off a step, I'm not doing that. One of the meteorologists from, the local stations is going to come to my house in Upper Marlboro and going to sweep my step off, because I'm going off of they are only going to get snow on the grassy area. So this weekend, hey, Paula, I know you got your meeting planned right now. So, hey, Paula came down for the stage play, My Boyfriend's Wife. Let me tell you, I made a little small 15-second commercial. And in the commercial, I said, hey, I'm going to see my boyfriend's wife. Come see me there. And everyone flipped out because they thought I was going to go see my boyfriend's wife. My boyfriend's wife. So I guess they were waiting for the fighting video or some such foolishness as that. But I was going to see the stage play, which was on Saturday at the Arc on Mississippi Avenue. And let me tell you, the play was phenomenal. The actors and the actresses were on point. They had the one woman, the ghetto fabulous girlfriend, who was hysterical. I did not catch her name. Let me just tell you, she was a hoot and a holler. She was crazy. She came out in all these different color wigs, and then when she came back as a ghost, she didn't have a wig on. Then she was trying to figure out what the hair of the other one. If you missed it, I feel sorry for you. So you're going to have to wait. Maybe Mache will put it on somewhere else, but maybe she's going to travel. So if you want this play in your city, you need to get at author Mache, tweet her, Facebook her, go on her website. It's Mache, Mychea. Let her know you want this play to come to your town. Let her know, because I'm sure she will be more than welcome to pick up the cast and carry it on wherever you're going to be. Now, Paula came down on Saturday, and A few weeks ago, I talked about how I got ripped off when I bought a pack of Lifesavers because the Lifesavers were half of the size of what I remembered. So, you know what she bought me down here, y'all? She bought me down real Lifesavers. When I tell you these are the real Lifesavers, now they're individual. Like I got a whole bag of them in my purse. And if you don't believe me, see, I got my purse down here. If you don't believe me, I've been walking around with this whole big, see, I got to carry a big purse because the bag won't fit anywhere else. But I have the entire bag of Lifesavers in my bag, okay? See, here they are. Here they are, people. I'm not sharing because these are the real ones. Like I sucked on one all day today. See, that's how I know it's the real Lifesavers because I was able to keep the same one in my mouth all day. I literally just crunched it up while I was standing there doing the boot camp. Speaking of the boot camp, did you see the boots today, people? Did you see the boots? Now, I brought the best I saved the best for last, and here's why. Because I'm ready for spring. I've been shoe shopping, people, and the shoes that I bought for the new shoe cam, honey, you ain't gonna want to miss not the first 5 minutes of my show every week because these shoes that I bought, hotness walking in the building every time I come here. Let me tell you, the station manager, Jeremy, he told me I had foot porn going on today, and that's exactly what it is. I am the queen of foot porn, okay, honey? Don't get it twisted, all right? Because it is me, B Swangin Webster, the queen of foot porn. Now, I have a lot of stuff going on today. So today on the show, I'm going to have John Gilstrap. So I'm trying to get all this done before I get him on the line because when me and John get to talking, it's just, time just flies away from us. So I want to tell everybody about the Authors Reader Rock Weekend. Sharon Lucas was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and she left me some of these great save the date flyers. And the date is October the 16th and 17th. It's going to be in Bowie, Maryland. Not like NCIS said, they say Bowie. It's not Bowie, Maryland. It's Bowie, Maryland, like Dave Bowie. Wait a minute. Maybe that's why they're saying Bowie because it's David Bowie. Okay, well, anyway, we say Bowie, Maryland. Okay, so in Bowie, Maryland, it is the Authors Readers Rock Weekend. And let me tell you something. Kay Lowry Moore, her show is on at 9 o'clock tonight. Okay, now I know a lot of us are going to be watching Empire. And who is not ready for Empire? I'm going to tell you the Lion Men and Cookie and Boo Boo Kitty and... Woo, honey, child, I'm having a viewing party at my house. So if you know where I live at 8 o'clock, you can come on over because that's where we will be. I got wine and cookies. That's what I'm serving tonight because, it wouldn't be right if I didn't have a different variety of cookies. Now, I might have a pack of chocolate chip cookies, but I don't really like chocolate, so you might be getting the cream filled. But I do have some Girl Scout cookies, and who don't love a good Girl Scout cookie? Speaking of, I know I'm totally off topic today, but speaking of Girl Scout cookies, my niece has 2 daughters, and both of them sell Girl Scout cookies. Well, how come I had to be accosted by the people in the mall selling me some Girl Scout cookies? Now, I didn't even know that it was time to buy Girl Scout cookies. So I called my niece up, and I was like, look, you better hand me some cookies at my mom's house, and I'm not playing with you. So she got my cookies. So if you need cookies, Girl Scout cookies, that is, not cookies like Cookie was trying to give away to the security guy last week. But if you want some Girl Scout cookies, all you got to do is tweet at me. I can get you some boxes, and you're helping a worthy cause, for the Girl Scouts. And I might add, they have this new cookie called Rah Rah Raisin. Oh my goodness, it is the best. It's an oatmeal raisin with yogurt bits in it. It's, the way I look at it, it's a little healthy because it got oatmeal and it got raisins and it got yogurt. So, you're getting all of your daily requirements right there. Okay, so now my other thing was, I had to bring it. See, now, y'all think I'm joking. See, I'm trying to be healthy. And I found this in Costco, and it's called Healthy Choice Cafe Steamers. Now, I'm sure this is not a new product, okay? It's not new. But for me, it was new. And I think I have John on the line. Is this John Gilstrap?
This is John Gilstrap. How are you?
I'm good. I'm talking about me trying to be healthy. So I bought this lunch. It's called Healthy Choice Cafe Steamers. And when I tell you that it actually tasted like real food, like it was real chicken. It was real chicken in the package, people. And I was like shocked. Okay, you got to go through a lot of it to make it work. But it was really good. So if you're trying to be healthy, it's only 280 calories, okay, all the protein and all that, like 19 grams of protein, 7 grams of fat, blah, blah, blah. But it's supposed to be a healthy choice. So if you want to get that, then, I'm not, hey, look, if they send me an endorsement, I'll be eating these all the time. But because I'm not endorsed by Healthy Choice yet, but I'm just saying make a healthy choice if you want to eat one meal of the day that is healthy. So, Mr. John Gilstrap, how are you?
I could not be better if I tried.
Well, and that's all you have to do is try, right? So now let me ask you, I got some, I don't know if you saw my show a couple weeks ago, but I was talking about how I got ripped off in Lifesavers because I didn't have they kind of cheap now, so they real tiny. So my girlfriend bought me Lifesavers, and I was so excited about the Lifesavers that I forgot to bring my drink with me. Now, how crazy is that? Like, I don't have nothing to drink up here with me today, but I got a bag full of Lifesavers. So, do you have a drink with you today, John?
I do. I do.
See? So, you got a drink for both of us today.
I've done it before. I've drunk from multiple friends at one time.
Okay, so let me ask you, because I've been dying to ask you this. In December, you retired from your big boy job, as you call it, your big boy job. So has it been hard for you to get into a different routine? Because for years you got up and went to work, to your regular job. Has it been difficult adjusting to not having to get up and come into DC or Virginia, wherever you're working? Have you found it hard to do?
Not getting up and not getting into the commute is like the easiest thing in the world. There's no transition in that.
Okay.
But there is a certain rhythm to the day that
Okay.
I haven't really figured out yet.
Okay.
For so long, for 7 books, I guess, I wrote always at night. And you kind of get trained for that. Now I'm trying to push myself back to work during the day so I get my evenings free. And that transition has been a little more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
Huh. And okay, see, I didn't know that. So 7 of your books, because you've written over 10 books. So 7 of those books were written while you were working like a regular 9-to-5 job.
Correct. And there are 14 books that are written.
14 books. Okay, like
Not
I tried to
you find a point on it.
Okay, see, I tried to grab all of the covers, and I could, I'm technology challenged sometimes, so I could find the cover, then I couldn't find the cover, and it was like, oh my gosh, it's becoming too hard. So I grabbed all the new covers that you had. So when I know I asked you this question before, but I know my viewers, if you are a John Gilstrap fan and you don't know the answer, in your book, you never really describe Jonathan Graves. So why is that?
Because I don't want to get in the reader's way of what he looks like. I hear from fans, there's a fairly consistent meme of emails that I get of who do I think should play the role, and then they say who they think should play the role. And it's interesting. Some of them are very, very young, happening 20-somethings that they want to be in the role. And obviously those tend to skew to younger readers. And the older folks want to see it more, the mid-40s kind of guy that's doing the action. And so I just stay out of the way. I write from his point of view, so, at any given moment, none of us are aware of what we look at. I mean, some of us are very aware of what shoes we're wearing.
Right, exactly. Because if you're writing me, John, you got to write the shoes that I'm wearing. You got to describe those. You got to tell me the color and the heel height. Well, heel height is pretty easy. It's always going to be 5.5 to 6. So, that's about it. But when they ask you if, he ever came to a small screen or a big screen, do you have a picture in mind of who you might want it to be, or is it just based off whoever the producer is that says, hey, Jonathan Graves will be this person?
Well, as the writer of the books, if somebody had bought the movie rights, I would have no say in any of that anyway. I have a fairly good idea of what he looks like because he's based on an amalgam of various people that I've known over the years, but he's not based on anybody that you would recognize.
Okay.
I don't think in terms of movie stars.
Okay. So you think in terms of everyday people.
Right.
Okay. Well, see, and that's all that really matters. You have to be, to me, for a person to be realistic, it has to be based off of someone real. You can't just do it based off of, oh, yeah, everybody looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger did in Rambo. Everybody looked like that. Really not, unless you were hanging out at Gold's Gym in the 1970s or 80s or however old he was when he made that movie. But
the one thing I can say with absolute certainty is that Jonathan Grave has more hair than I do.
But you know what? I kind of figured that Jonathan had about the same amount of hair that you did, or either was bald.
It's probably as long as mine.
Okay.
You know, but no, he definitely doesn't shine as much as I do on the top.
Okay. So now I know that at one point you were hired to write 6 Minutes to Freedom. Whatever happened to that project?
That's a really good question. And as of a phone call about a week ago, I still don't know.
Oh, wow.
It's still under option, and it's being passed around fairly actively in Hollywood, which is both the good news and the bad news. You know, if there were big clamoring for it, it seems it would have sold. You know, somebody would be saying, "Let's go make this movie." So I don't know. I mean, the bottom line, William Goldman had it summed up when he said that in Hollywood nobody knows anything, which is absolutely the truth. I have no idea.
So let me ask one more question based on that. So when you get tapped to say they want you to write write and co-produce a film, do you immediately start writing the story, or you have to wait until everything is finalized?
I would immediately start writing as soon as they cut a check to pay me to write it.
Okay.
When I sold the film rights to 6 Minutes to Freedom, for a lot of reasons, it was really important to me, and it was important to a lot of the Delta operators and CIA folks and State Department folks who cooperated in this, and as well as the family and the co-conspirators. There were a lot of players. It's a nonfiction story. And they were terrified that Hollywood was going to go turn it into something that it wasn't. So it was important to me, on their behalf, to be attached as a screenwriter to make sure that at least one version of the screenplay was true to the book. Okay. And so that's within the rights itself. The producer who bought it doesn't have the financing to actually make the movie and start that process, which is what we're trying to wait for now. It's very complicated, a lot of moving parts.
Okay. So now tell me about your latest novel. I'm loving it, by the way. I haven't finished reading it, but I am loving it. So first of all, where do you come up with the concepts for your books?
Well, the concept is right now, I mean, every one of them is built around the construct of some form of hostage rescue. And I want to make it, I'm sort of a halls of Washington kind of writer. I've spent my whole life living in this area, and I know a lot of political people and a lot of spooky people and a lot of military people. So the idea is to try to make it feel relevant and urgent. So, I've created this presidential administration, the Darmond administration in Washington, which is far more corrupt than anything we've ever seen in real life.
Of course.
And it's against that backdrop that Jonathan Grave has to save the day. So, as far as coming up with very specific elements, I really don't know how to answer that question, because I don't think I know. They arrive. In fact, and they don't arrive all that frequently. I know a lot of my writer buddies who talk about how they're constantly sifting through the flood of ideas they have in their head, and that's not me. I get an idea just in time to write it down.
So when you get an idea, because you're with a one of the bigger publishers, are you obligated to have a certain amount of books in a certain amount of time, and then it's like, oh, okay, now I need to come up with a story? Or is it when you decide, I think I want to, the story came to me, I'm going to submit it and see if, they want another Jonathan Grave story?
I'm under contract. I do 2 books. My contracts are for 2 books at a time. Mm-hmm. So I can turn in a book whenever I want, so long as it's on or before September 15th of every year. And then I can come up with a new idea so long as I have it submitted on or before October 15th of every year, so that I can then deliver the next manuscript on September 15th of the following year. So it's pretty regulated. I have to give them a book a year, and that's fine.
I'm surprised. Like, I've never heard of that. So why September 15th? Was that a date that you just picked?
Well, that's because I like to. It's important to us to launch the book. I'm the lead title at Kensington every summer. I'm the lead thriller, and I own July. So my books come out on July 1st, which happens to coincide with the launch of Thrillerfest, which is the big thriller convention in New York every July. So in order to meet the July delivery, to have the books out in July, I have to get my stuff to them in mid-September, so we can go through the editing process and the production process and the publicity process and all of that.
Wow, that is so amazing. Now I feel like, like I'm an insider now. I feel like I'm an insider because I know that. I did not know that. So that explains why when I go to Thrillerfest, I see your huge poster up, because most of the people when they're there, is that when they're launching their books in July? Is that a big month to launch books?
I can't answer that question. I know, like I said, every publisher, I shouldn't say every publisher which I'm aware, they have they're the lead titles, and then there are the other titles that they come out. Most publishers put out X number of books per month.
Okay.
Kensington, my publisher, puts out, I think, 300 books a year. Now, not 300 thrillers. It's a broad range.
Right.
But probably 20, 25 thrillers. I really don't know. I'm making that number up.
Mm-hmm.
So for each of those publishers, there is a lead title for each of the months where they come out. So there's a lead title for February. There's a lead title for September. There's a lead, for whatever. Now, the really big names, like the Baldaccis and Jeffrey Deaver and those folks, tend to come out around Christmas time. So you'll see the fall, early winter launches for a lot of those names. And for me, that's the time I want to avoid, because I'd rather not compete with those huge names. So.
Well, now, so when they told you, September and then October, so when you turn in your new project in October, do you already have it like halfway done? Or are you just in the process of outlining it and trying to figure out what the story is going to be?
Oh, I'm very much in the process of figuring out what the story. I'll have a beginning, a middle, and end. Basic concept of what this is about, and then I spend the year figuring out the details. Okay.
So do you outline? You outline everything?
I used to. I'm becoming less and less devoted to the outline, and part of that, I think, is because my first 4 novels were not series books. They're standalones. And consequently, I was recreating the world every time I started a new book.
Okay.
And now that I'm doing the Grave books, so much of the background stuff is already established. So I don't have to do that level of outline. I can concentrate much more on the story and the progression of the characters, but I don't have to create a whole new setting. I mean, Jonathan always lives in Fisherman's Cove, and Fisherman's Cove is a certain way, and the buildings are in a certain place. So I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So I've become far less a slave to the outline, but I have to know what the ending's going to be.
So you know that
start.
So you know the ending before you start it.
Right. Otherwise, I don't know where I'm writing to.
Okay.
Thrillers are very taut. There's not a lot of room for slush. So every scene has to progress the story toward a certain point, and if you don't know where that point is, you just kind of walk in circles in the woods,
and that wouldn't end well.
Right.
So so that means you already have another book coming out this year.
Right. In fact, Against All Enemies comes out in July, and I just day before yesterday sent in my final edits on the page proofs for that. So that book is done.
Okay.
I finished my last opportunity to change anything. Ended earlier this week.
Oh, okay.
And I am 11,356 words to the book that I deliver in September.
Wow. So what is your process like when I finish a book, I go buy shoes. So I bought 3 pairs of shoes this week because I finished a book. So I was able to treat myself to 3 pairs of shoes. So what do you do when you finish writing your novel?
I pay the mortgage.
So that's the sign that you're done.
No, I don't have any. I don't have any celebration stuff like that. It's a lot of times it's kind of a relief. I literally will type, and I've heard that this is an unprofessional thing to do, but screw it, I've been doing it for a lot of books now. I actually write the word "the end" or the last words that I write into the manuscript because there's something so empowering and symbolic about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of fun. And then I go and I gloat and watch television or something. I don't know. It's just,
So
because I know that's really just the beginning.
Right.
You finish the book. Okay, big deal. Now you got to go back and you print it out and you got to go through all the edits and all that kind of stuff. So it's a book is never really finished. I mean, when I said I just finished the page proofs, and there were several not insignificant changes that I made after it's already in the page proof form.
Okay. So how long?
And when if I read the book when it comes out, I will cringe at stuff that I didn't change then. So.
Okay, so let me ask you. So because I'm new to this, so I'm still learning. So if you got your finished book and you see something in the book that you wish you had changed, or something that you just overlooked, does that eventually get changed at some point in that novel?
If there is it depends on how egregious an issue it is. Sometimes it's just stylistic. When if the book is going into an additional printing, then there is an opportunity to make some changes. I've rarely done that. In fact, the only time I have done it in my very early books, Nathan's Run and At All Costs. Nathan's Run came out in 1996, I guess, and At All Costs came out in 98. And there was a lot of profanity in the books. I mean, a lot of use of the F-bombs. And I've just heard from so many readers over the years who are really offended by that language. And, I love your stories. I just can't read them because of the language. So when those rights reverted back to me and I resold them to Kensington and they came out, right now they're just available in ebook form, those two. And I did go through, and I went through, you allowed to say bad words on your radio show?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I went back through a defuckification process, and I removed all of the F-bombs, except for one in Nathan's Run, and in that case, it just has to be there. It's the only word that will work. But other than that, and the temptation, of course, I wrote those books, now 20 years ago, and I think I've matured as a writer, and my sense of storytelling has changed, and I made a conscious decision not to actually rewrite it to read as it would read if I had written it now, because that's the book I wrote then. It is what it is, and move on. And part of that is laziness too. But I think it's important to see. It's nice for me to see my progression as a writer, and I think for readers it's kind of cool to be able to see. Well, this is what he wrote 20 years ago, and this is what he's writing now.
So have you found that the fans that started out with you 20 years ago are still with you? And have they brought along their kids? Because, sometimes for me, I know my daughter loves some of the things that I write. Your books are one of them. So for me, I'm very proud that she's picked up, reading the books that I love to read. So have you found that your fans do the same thing?
Yeah, I hear from a lot of fans with every book. It's and like I said, after 14 of them, it's like hearing from old friends again. It's very nice. It's humbling, is what it is. A lot of stories from folks who, I make stuff up. I tell stories for a living. I don't cure cancer. I don't do anything that's really important on the capital I scale. But you hear from people who are going through cancer treatments or are going through things, or they're tending to parents or whatever, and your books helped me get through this period. That's just really, it's just a wonderful feeling.
And let me ask you, when you are in the process, of doing all this, do you get actual fan mail delivered, the old-fashioned way by the mailman, or is it mostly emails now?
It's exclusively email now. I haven't gotten a fan letter, actually in an envelope. Oh, probably been 8 years or more. It's been a long time. Because I don't think people. What used to happen is the fans would write to the publisher, and then the publisher would kind of collect them, and then 2 or 3 times a year you get this big fat envelope full of envelopes that had letters in them, and that just doesn't happen anymore because I don't think people go through the publisher anymore. Everybody's got a website, right? I got my website,
right?
JohnGilstrap.com.
Yes.
So people just write to me right through it, and
And I see that you do answer your emails. Now are you fanatic about it? Like as soon as you get an email, you have to answer it back, or is it like, okay, 2-3 days you'll take and you'll answer it? I know some people that as soon as they get an email, they have to answer it, like at that very moment.
It depends on the nature. The ones when I hear from kids that are turning in a book report and they need questions answered, they tend to get answered right away. When the ones that are just flat out complimentary, who say, I enjoyed the book, keep them coming, that's such an easy thing to respond to. That's 10 words and send it out. But then you get the occasional really thoughtful email that is either critical or praising, or they want to know additional information, or how did you find this out, or that kind of thing. I get to as I get to it, never more than a week or 2.
Okay.
Never more than that.
But
it just takes time.
How do you handle those critical emails? Like, somebody was like, I bought your book, I thought it was going to be something else, and it isn't. And how do you handle that? Like, I know it's easy to you're reading an email, you may get upset about it, but do you respond to those critics as well?
I do. And I respond with a thank you. Because let's be honest, think about what has transpired. Somebody who takes the time to write an angry email. It's never been, this is the worst piece of crap I've ever read. It's either they're reading politics into it that I didn't put there, or whatever the case may be. But what has transpired is I have stirred a passion in them that is bright enough for them to go to their keyboard and hit send on an email. That's really quite the compliment at its root. If they were completely disengaged with the story and they just thought it was a piece of crap, they wouldn't take the time to write. So, and it's from that, for example, from those collections of letters that I decided to do the defuckification process of those early books.
Oh, okay.
And I'll hear from folks when I get a technical detail wrong. And depending if they're right, I apologize. If they're wrong, I might defend my research.
And do you do like for all of your Jonathan books, do you actively go out there and do research? I mean, because you do the coolest things. You got to ride along with a SWAT team. Like, who gets to do that except for John Gilstrap?
Well, yeah, it's all of these. And thank you. And you're right. It was an extraordinarily cool thing. That ultimately was born out of a casual conversation at the bar at Thrillerfest last year with a guy named Chris Grawl, who's an instructor for SWAT teams, and he's a fan of the Grave books, and one thing led to another, so there I was on a SWAT raid in Tallahassee, Florida.
Wow. I need to strike up a conversation like that with somebody that does shoes.
About shoes?
Yeah.
You got to lead the conversation about shoes. You intimidate people in the shoes conversation.
So let me ask you, when you went along on the SWAT ride along, were they just training that day, or was it like an assignment that they were on? Like, what do SWAT people normally do during the day if there's no hostage situation?
Well, it depends on the jurisdiction. Some jurisdictions have full-time SWAT teams, and others are on call. They're patrol officers or detectives or whatever, and then when a SWAT team is needed, they assemble and they go in. In this case, they were serving an arrest warrant on a child pornographer, and it was suspected that there was another fugitive in the home. So I knew before I went down to Tallahassee to train with them in their shoot house. And I knew as I left on that trip that I would be going along on the SWAT raid. They had planned it that far in advance.
Wow.
So they had gathered the intel, and they had done the work ahead of time. And as it turned out, the guy he surrendered with that.
So but did you have to stay in the truck, or did you get to go in with them?
I didn't stack up with them at the front door. I didn't want to do that because they don't let me carry a gun.
Okay.
And I don't, who wants to be in that?
Right,
that
exactly.
But no, I came in on the vehicle and I stood outside with the cordon officers. They surround the house, and so I was out with them, close enough to jump out of my skin when they threw the flashbang. And,
oh wow! So now, is that research going to be in the next Jonathan Graves novel?
Not directly. I have an agreement, and I've been so fortunate. I've been to the compound at Fort Bragg where the Delta Force doesn't exist, where they do their thing. I've been to the Navy SEAL compound in Virginia Beach, and CIA headquarters, and all these. And the agreement I have and the trust that I have with these folks is that I would never use anything directly.
Okay.
So, but what I do pay attention to are tactics and operations, and how do they talk to each other, and what is the equipment they use, how do they use the equipment, when do they use the equipment, that kind of stuff. And and actually, the training in Tallahassee, I'm very pleased to say, for the most part, showed me that I've gotten it right in the book.
So before you went to Tallahassee, had you just researched it online? So you were just trying to pull it all together from what you knew? Like you hadn't been on a ride along before?
I had not been on a ride along before, but I've talked to these guys at length, and I have done a lot of research. I read obsessively on these things, and I was in the fire and rescue service for 15 years, and often on SWAT raids they have an EMS component on standby in case it doesn't go well, and I had been on a couple of those in the past too. So it wasn't my first trip to the rodeo, but the very first time I got to wear a bulletproof vest, though.
Oh, okay.
That was pretty cool.
So is that heavy? Is the bulletproof vest heavy?
Not as heavy as I thought it would be. Maybe it wasn't as bulletproof as I thought it was.
I was getting ready to say, maybe they gave you the one that they were just testing out. Maybe that's why they told you stay in the truck. So now I know you travel a lot. I watch you on Facebook. He's on Facebook, you all. And you do some, like I said, the coolest thing. So how did you get into firearms? I know that was part of, was it part of your job that you had that you did training with firearms, but then you have some of the most incredible firearms that you own. So how did that tie in with your average day job?
Well, that part of my life, that's the little boy in me.
Okay.
I've always enjoyed firearms, and there's something about I know guns are in bad press these days, mostly from people who really don't understand why people like guns. It's really not about shooting people. There's something very precise about the engineering, and to shoot them correctly requires a lot of very fine motor skills. I liken it to golf to the degree, which is a game that I cannot tolerate. But all the little things matter. So you go to a range a lot and learn to shoot well, learn to use this equipment well. It's really very relaxing in its own right. But for the record, I don't really own a lot of exotic firearms. Last thing I bought was a Mosin Nagant rifle, which they made 37 million of them between 1900 and 1954. So mine is a 1942 model.
Wow. So can you actually, if a gun is that old, does it still really work?
Oh, sure. Actually, it works really, really well. I took it to the range last weekend, weekend before that. Now, the first couple of shots I do from the hip.
Okay.
Just to make sure I don't want to put my face behind a bolt unless I'm absolutely certain. So. Okay. But no, it's spot on. It's a nice gun.
Yeah, it was funny because I went to the gun range. First I was really, really scared of it, and then I was like, okay, I want to learn. So I learned, and here's the weird part. Now, normally I wear 5 different pairs of glasses because my eyes are just crap. And I have glasses for driving, glasses for the computer, glasses for reading, glasses for just every day, and glasses for nearsightedness, I guess, when I can't see. Okay. So when I went to the gun range, and you have to put on the goggles, So I didn't want to put on the goggles with my regular glasses. So I took off my glasses, put on the goggles. I had 20/20 vision. I think I might just need to walk around with goggles on.
There you go. Goggles and really nice shoes.
Exactly.
It's a different kind of fashion statement. It's kind of like Poindexter meets high fashion.
Exactly. But the thing was, the first time I was shooting a Beretta, 9mm, and the first time I was like, okay, I'm a little scared of it, but then I got so relaxed on that now that is my most absolute favorite thing to do. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe that I liked it as much as I did. And hey, nothing is more dangerous than a woman in high heels with a gun. I'm just saying. And I think that's why my new novel is going to have a woman in there that's wearing cute shoes and, you know, maybe killing people, maybe not quite sure yet. So when I know you're doing the Jonathan Graves series. Well, it's not really a series, right?
It is a series. Yeah.
Okay.
In the sense that it's not a continuing story, but it is a series.
So, but are you going to ever do any other characters other than Jonathan?
Well, ever is a very long time. I am not opposed to that. Right now, Jonathan is paying a lot of bills.
Okay.
And his universe, he's got his hostage rescue thing that he does, but he also runs a private investigation firm. And, of course, he's a benefactor for Resurrection House, which is a home for the children of incarcerated parents. And so there's a lot of fodder that I've planted for additional storylines within his universe, if I so desire. In fact, the book I'm writing now, which is the 2016 book, it's called Friendly Fire. I've just brought back Nathan from Nathan's Run, who now is 32 years old.
Oh, now I was going to ask you that. So your characters do age.
Well, in this case, yes. Jonathan does not.
Okay.
Because he doesn't have an age, so I therefore can't age him.
Okay.
So,
now, when you decide, you know, your new stories, do you already have the title in mind? Like, do you already have like a list of what the titles of your books are going to be, or do they just come to you in the process of writing them?
They rarely come to me. More of my titles have been determined by my publisher than by me. I typically suck at titles.
Okay.
It's just not my thing. Friendly Fire is mine because, as was Against All Enemies, the one that comes out in July, because it fits so well in with what the book is about. But some of them, like, you know, Hostage Zero, it's a cool title. It's the second book in the Grave series, but it doesn't mean anything. I mean, there is no Hostage Zero. It's just a cool looking.
So it wasn't me then, because I read the book and I kept saying, well, where is Hostage Zero? I don't see the Hostage Zero. Maybe there were zero hostages, but I was like, no, it was a hostage. So then I was like, well, maybe it's a continuation and I'm missing the main. I read the book 3 times, John, trying to find the hidden meaning behind Hostage Zero. And I just figured
the whole purpose of a title and a cover is to get a reader to pick it up and then read it, or read the description of it. And then if the description captures their attention, they forget all about the title. Then they get involved with the story, and they don't care what the title is because they've enjoyed the story. So, each of these components has its own part within the marketing scheme.
So now I did not know that that your publisher brings you the title. What if you don't like the title? Like, what if you can't figure out a story to write based on the title they gave you?
Oh, no. It doesn't work that way. I have veto power. What happens is I will write a book that's called Grave Number 4.
Okay.
And then I deliver it, and it's like, we really need to have a title for this thing. So I'll make a list, and then my editor makes a list, and their publisher, their marketing people make a list, my agent makes a list. And somewhere in there is a 2 or maximum 3-word phrase that goes, hey, that sounds good.
Oh, okay. See, now I understand. So does it always have to be just, because I did notice that most of your book titles are 2 words. So is that something like exclusive, like that part of your brand that you want your book titles to be 2 words?
I don't want to force my name to be smaller.
Okay.
You gotta leave room on the cover.
That's a good answer. Oh, boy, I mean, but, you could always be Jay Gilstrap, or you could just be Gilstrap, just like, take your one name.
Oh, yeah, like Oprah,
Yeah.
Gilstrap.
Right. But then Gilstrap could go so many different ways left that might not want to do that.
And then I'll start getting email that says, Dear Mr. Strap.
Right.
And then, it's...
Like, what do you really use that strap for? It would just go so sideways. It would then go into the realm of maybe that color with, 49 plus 1, so it might go into that realm at that point. So,
you promised me we were never going to talk about what I used that strap for.
I know. Well, see, I had to just bring it up. It was just so easy, but it's just our little secret. See, that's why I forgot my drink, because I was worried that was going to come out. So you are going to be at Thrillerfest this year, as am I. And of course, I'm already shopping for Thrillerfest shoes. So tell us what else do you have coming up, within the next couple of months before Thrillerfest that people can find you at?
I'm going to kind of have a low profile. I tell you what I do have coming up, and people need to, and shameless self-promotion, need to go to my website, johngilstrap.com, and sign up for my newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
I have a series of newsletters coming out in the next coming for the ramp up of Against All Enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly fans of the series are really going to enjoy.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed it.
The last one I sent out was in Jonathan Graves' voice,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going to have various characters writing my newsletter for me.
Oh, my gosh. Let me just tell you, I was laughing so hard because I don't know why I could hear Jonathan's voice in the newsletter. It was just funny. And it was like, oh, my God, this is the best newsletter I have ever read. And it's like, oh, my gosh. So I went to the website and signed up. I was like, okay, I got to make sure I get them all. And like he said, people go to www.johngilstrap.com, sign up for this newsletter. If you want to see what the newsletter is, it's on your Facebook page, correct?
It is. That's John Gilstrap. I just left John Gilstrap author. Facebook/John Gilstrap author.
Right. So John Gilstrap author on Facebook, or just type in John Gilstrap. You'll see his picture. See his handsome face on my screen. See, all you gotta do is see the handsome face on the screen. Type in John Gilstrap on Facebook. You'll find him. Then but if you also type it in on Amazon, you'll find, how to get to your website as well. And that's another quick question I have for you. Do you look at the Amazon reviews? Like, are you watching those reviews as they post up and come in?
Yes. I would lie to you and say that I'm above that, but no, I'm really not. Yes, I do.
So
yes, I do.
Do you wonder, like, if one book has more reviews than the other, why?
Well, not really. I mean, at all costs. Excuse me, at all costs. I'm looking at the cover on my wall here. In No Mercy, which is the first of the Grave series, it's the first of the Grave series. So what happens is people buy book number 6,
mm-hmm.
then Game. And they say, oh, this is kind of neat, and then they go back and they start the series. So the earlier books in the series are always going to have more reviews,
okay,
and frankly more sales than the most recent book, right?
Right.
So it's so no, I don't worry about that. And quite honestly, and please don't take this as a challenge, my Amazon reviews have actually. People have been very nice
mm-hmm.
for the most part.
Yes, and I this people, if you did not know, I talk about how I was reading a book and I burned my dinner. Your books are the ones that I'm doing that on. So I now I have decided I'm not even cooking. When I'm reading your books, I don't even attempt to cook. I just drink my dinner and sit and read. So this is the man that causes me, and I'm a pretty decent cook, that causes me to not only burn my dinner, but set off all of the smoke alarms in the house.
Well, that's good of you to say, I guess. I don't want to be responsible for burning your house down.
No,
but,
I mean, I do catch it before the pan, before the pan goes up in, total fire. But the books are so great. They really do grab you on the first page, and it makes you suck in the breath and hold it until you put the book down. And then I find myself with your book saying, okay, I'm only going to read one more chapter, and then it's 2:00 in the morning. I got to get up at 4:00, and it's like, damn you, John Gilstrap, you've done it again. So, so that is my review, of your books. I'm so late putting them up on Amazon, so I'll be posting them up soon. But I say it every week that I cannot believe that the hour has flown by. So tell everybody again where else they can find you on the web.
I am on Facebook. I am John Gilstrap, one word, on Twitter. Although, quite honestly, I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter. My website, johngilstrap.com, and Thrillerfest is really the first next place that I'll be as writer John. And folks, if you like thrillers, come to Thrillerfest. It's like everybody in the world is there.
Yes.
And it's very cool. It's a little on the pricey side, to be honest, but it's by far it's the one event a year that I will not miss.
Yes, and let me tell you, even though it's pricey, come on now, it's in New York, so everything is expensive in New York. So I know Paula, who is watching, will be there again this year. Plus, Thrillerfest is celebrating 10 years this year, correct?
Yeah, it is.
So you gotta be there. It's July 7th.
It's that Thursday through Sunday after 4th of July.
Right. So it's the second week of July, people. So right after 4th of
and
July.
I'm going to be teaching at Craft Fest. I'm going to be talking about explosives. I'm doing a 2-hour seminar with Chris Grawl on explosives.
Really? Wow. Okay. So look, This is another reason why you need to go to Craft Fest and then stay to go to Thriller Fest and for the banquet. Are you up for any awards this year?
Oh, I always go.
Okay.
It's a great party.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It is. It is such a great party. I mean, the hotel is amazing, and okay, the shopping is amazing, but the conference itself, I learned so much, and I get to meet. And when he's not kidding when he says that you meet a lot of people. I hung out with Ann Rice and Christopher Rice a couple years ago. Who would have thought that? Like, what? Me? Hanging out with them, and I mean, just hanging out with John and Jeff and everybody else that I got to meet. Is almost like a reunion every year of authors that attend Thrillerfest. So I will see you at Thrillerfest in July. Of course, I'll be looking fabulous, and you'll be handsome as ever.
Well, I can only speak to your part, and you, of course, will look fabulous.
So thank you for joining me today, and I will be talking to you very soon. As soon as I finish reading my book, I'm going to send you an email and tell you what I thought, because I just love your books. Okay, so thank you for joining me, and tell your lovely wife, Joy, I said hello.
I will indeed. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So as you heard, that was John Gilstrap. You need to pick up. When I tell you, if you want a really good book, if your husband likes to read thrillers, action-packed novels, pick up John Gilstrap's books, because they are action-packed. They are not your, girly thrillers. These are your knockdown, drag-out fights, and, the Jonathan Graves series is amazing. And like he said, there's 14 books, and I have 10 of them. I don't have all 14, but I'm catching up. I'm loading up the Kindle, so that's what I'll be doing on my spring break. So, it has been a joy, but let me just say something, because I had a horrible day at work today, and I know Lindsay is watching, and Emily is watching, Paula's watching, Carmen. Hey, Carmen, I still got a little bit of attitude, but let me just tell you this, and I have to say it, because if I'm speaking to you professionally, and I'm asking you a question, don't be disrespectful. And here's why I'm saying that is because I work in the school system. And if I'm talking to another adult, and I'm talking to that adult, very professionally, I do not expect that adult is going to be disrespectful towards me, especially when there are children around. Now, disrespect means a whole lot of things to a whole lot of people, but if you take a tone with me because I'm giving you some information that I think you need, don't try to clown me. And I'm only going to say that this time because I will deal with her tomorrow because I was too angry to deal with her today because she did it in front of, children, and I was not going to go, into that argument with her with students standing around. But just know, I will deal with you tomorrow, and the building will be empty, and you will hear just exactly what is on my mind. This is for everybody else. If you work in a government building or anywhere and you're dealing with your coworkers, be respectful of them. If they're coming to tell you something or coming to ask you something, don't take a tone with them. Don't get angry because they're giving you some information that they think you need. If you are having a bad day, have a bad day, but don't take it out on the person that you are talking to. I know that today I was having such a horrible day. I took it out on someone in the building, but I immediately went down, told them I would, apologize and said, I'm sorry that, I offended you if I offended you with my tone. But just so that you know, disrespect is something I do not tolerate. I do not tolerate it from the students that walk in the halls of my building. I damn sure am not going to tolerate it from an adult who thinks that they are better than me. Honey, you are not better than me. We are on the same level. And if I'm trying to help you, I'm trying to help you. Next time, your ass will fly in the wind. Does that make sense to you? Because tomorrow, I'm not going to be this nice when I tell it to you. So, although they got me off of my game today, I'm getting ready, and I know a lot of you are, for the Empire season finale. Let me tell you, I got wine and cookies. I got the wine chilling. I got all the cookies you could want. So if you want to watch Empire, then you need to come on over to Upper Marlboro. If you know where I live, you can come on in. But at 10 o'clock, y'all got to go because I got to go to work tomorrow. But let me just tell you, Empire is going to be something. And I just want you all to know I'm living a beautiful life, and so is Empire tonight. So if you're not watching it, you need to get in front of your TV. If you didn't watch it all season, DVR it, look on Hulu or wherever. But it is just an amazing show. But then on June 26th, Power comes back on. So now it's gonna be something. See who's gonna take that crown of best new drama. I think Empire got it hands down myself. But until I see you again next week, I'm getting down off my soapbox. Oh, one more thing. I want to thank the teachers in my building from Mountain Woman Middle School because they came and supported me in the community give back. I have a whole box of stuff that they gave me to give to Sharon from the Moo and Sharon show at 10 p.m. So I want to thank you all for donating those personal items to help our homeless out this spring. With that, we're getting ready for Truth 360. Their hosts are already in the building. They're behind the curtain, and it's Truth 360 coming up next. And right after that, tonight, Kay Lowry Moore will be on at 9 p.m. Moo and Sharon. Moo is on vacation, but Sharon going to be holding it down. I think she said something about some strippers in the building. So I'm not sure. I'm just letting y'all know that y'all might want to tune in at 10 p.m., okay? So from me to you and Paula, Carmen, and all of my friends watching, I'm living a beautiful life. Are you? Bye-bye.
What a beautiful life.
All that I've got is all that I need. I got you, baby, you got me. What more could I ask for? Beautiful life.
We got
Beautiful life. What a beautiful life.
beautiful life.
Listen, I woke up this morning, y'all. The sun was shining oh so brightly. I thought about how good this life is. Back in the day, it wasn't always like this. I think about the things we done been through. I think about the place that I come from. It wasn't always easy, so every day I'm thanking God for the beautiful people everywhere I go. I just need to see your smiling faces at my show. And when you're feeling real love from the family, every day is a gift, y'all, that's all I need.
What a beautiful life.
All that I've got is all that I need. I've got you, baby, you got me. What more could I ask?
Listen Vision, listen Vision, DC's #1 recording studio. Oh!